Good morning to all of you. And as I claimed that I will resume my discussion on Elegy written in a country churchyard by Thomas Gray. You must have remembered that I have already completed, I think, first 3 or 4 stanzas. Now I'll resume onwards, but before that, let me just recapitulate some of the ideas that I have already given to you. As I said, what is elegy? You know to some extent what is elegy. Elegy is a very classical genre. And when I say classical, it means obviously not Greek but Latin. Especially the Latin writers, Catullus and Propertius, popularized this genre in Roman literature, in classical Roman literature. But it will be very interesting to know that elegy, as today we know, is a poem on death, lamentation, destruction. A tone is very melancholic. But in Roman literature, elegy was actually any poem. Any poem means on any subject. It could be on love, it could be on war, it could be on satiric subjects. But it should be written and must be written in elegiac couplet. And as I said, that during classical era, elegy meant any poem written in elegiac couplet. What is elegiac couplet? You know that elegiac couplet refers to 2 lines. Couplet means 2 lines, consecutive 2 lines. Alternative, iambic, pentameter and hexameter. Now, after that, elegy went through a lot of evolution, changes, definitions changed. But in English literature, John Donne actually retained that original sense, writing in alternative, pentameter and hexameter. But after that, many poets changed that definition. And what Gray is here doing, he's actually following the tradition of contemporary odes. You know ode, what is ode? So this poem is a mixture of elegy and ode, you can say. Now let me resume my textual reading. The very beginning, Gray refers to a countryside, as the title suggests, elegy written in a country churchyard. It's not an urban churchyard, it's a country churchyard. So obviously the surrounding would be that of country landscape. In the first stanza he says, the curfew tolls the knell of parting day, the lowing herd wind slowly over the lea. The ploughman homeward plods his weary way, and leaves the world to darkness and to me. Now I will not discuss this stanza in detail, as I already had done it. You know, the time refers to the evening. That is the departure of day. Everyone is moving towards their home, including the plowmen, the shepherds, with their flock of sheep, cattle. Everyone retreating to their homes and shelter. The second stanza describes the calmness, quietness of the atmosphere, the obscure light, and also the tinkling sounds from the distant folds, that is coming from the distant enclosure of animals, a flock of sheep. But in spite of the silence, you have some kind of interesting sounds like the tinklings, drowsy tinklings which lull the distant folds. The sound of the droning flight of the beetle wheels, the sound of coming from the captains, the sound coming from the mopping owl, who is compared metaphorically with a queen who complains to the moon. Why? As I said in my earlier discussion, I have explained it in detail, so I will not go to that discussion. Now let me continue my detailed discussion from the fourth stanza onwards. I think some of you have suggested that it would be helpful for you to resume the discussion from fourth stanza. Actually, from the very fourth stanza, the exact subject is pointed out. What is the exact subject? Go to the title. It's a churchyard. So obviously, you will find in many churchyards graves or graveyards. So, the poet or the speaker is pointing towards those graves. Now let me just point out one thing. This poem, particular poem by Gray, belongs to an 18th century genre called graveyard poem or graveyard poetry. Actually, this term, graveyard poetry, was first used in 1898, probably, most probably, if I'm not wrong, 1890 or 98, by a critic called Dixon. He suggested that Gray, Robert Blair, Goldsmith, Cowper, Edward Young, all these poets belong to a different category, and this category is termed by Dixon as graveyard poets. Why? Because most of these poets, including Gray, are obsessed with the imagery, with the landscape, and with the theme of death. And you know that grave symbolizes death, mortality. Now, mortality or death and life has been a very recurring theme in literature, not only in English literature, but in classical literature of Rome, of Greece, and also in Renaissance literature all over the Europe. In our Bengali literature, we'll find so many poems on death, including that of Jibanananda Das. So, for your cross-reference, for our cross-reference, you may go to also Bengali literature. But let me come back to the text. That is the fourth stanza. Beneath those rugged elms, that yew trees shade. This sentence is adverbial clause. Beneath, pointing to the location. Beneath those rugged elms. Obviously, these rugged elms are inside the churchyard, country churchyard. Rugged elms. Why? Because the top or the branches at the top of the elms are rugged, that is rough, uneven. So beneath those rugged elms, and those yew trees sit, you'll find traditionally and typically a lot of yew trees in English churchyards. Yew tree is also called the melancholy, tree of melancholy. So beneath the shade, beneath the trees of yew branches, beneath the shades of yew trees, beneath the elms, where heaves the turf in many a mouldering heap. Notice the clause, the verb comes first, heaves. The subject comes later, the turf. It's obviously a Latinate expression. You have also made yourself acquainted with this type of style in reading Milton. The line should be like this in English syntax. The turf heaves in many a mouldering heap. No, what does it exclaim? Heap means breathing, a kind of breathing. The turf heaves. The turf, where is the turf? In many a mouldering heap. Mouldering means decaying, rotting. The heap obviously refers to the heap of the ground. Actually, it refers to the graves. So, the dead persons beneath the turf, that is the grassy surface, inside those heaps, heap means mouldering heaps, obviously is a periphrasis of grave. Notice how grave is avoiding the direct use of the term grave, but he is describing this term in different ways, where heaves the turf in many a mouldering heap, as if those dead persons are not dead, they are heaving beneath the turf, each in his narrow cell forever laid. Although each of the dead is laid forever in his narrow cell. Again, the use of periphrasis called narrow cell for the term grave. The narrow cell as if refers to a prison, as if they are imprisoned inside their grave. So grave is compared with narrow cell. So they are forever laid. They are lying there forever, but they are not dead. As if they are not dead, they are breathing, they are heaving. The rude forefathers of the hamlet sleep. In the previous line, notice the pronoun his. Who is this he? The he refers to the next line. The he is one of the rude forefathers of the hamlet sleep. So the rude forefathers, the ancestors, forefathers means ancestors. Rude, why rude? In modern sense, rude means different. But during 18th century, rude means uneducated, unlearned, rustic. So the unlearned ancestors, why ancestors? They are dead. They are dead now. They belong to previous generation. So the rude forefathers of the hamlet of this village lie there, sleep there. Notice how paradoxically they are compared not with death but with life, as if they are alive. They are imprisoned. They are imprisoned by what? They are imprisoned by death. Obviously, Gray is pointing out to those graves, and we know the central subject of this text is grave. The first three stanzas just describe the atmosphere, the time, the quietness, and in the fourth stanza, he comes to the main point, that is the grave. And who are inside this grave? The villagers, the ancestors, the rustic ancestors, the unlearned ancestors of this village. We don't know what is this village. We don't need to know, since it symbolizes universal death. It symbolizes universal, all the villagers, not only of England, but also of the world. Okay, so now move on to the next stanza, that is fifth stanza. The breezy call of incense-breathing morn, the swallow twittering from the strawbell shade, the cock's shrill clarion, or the echoing horn, no more shall rouse them from their lowly bed. Let me read this in my way. Go to the last line at the very beginning. Go to the last line of this stanza. What is the subject? no more shall rouse them from their lowly bed. Obviously the verb is shall rouse, that is shall not rouse. Shall not rouse whom? Them. Them means those rude forefathers of the previous stanza, of these villagers. Of these villagers. From their lowly bed. Again paraphrases of the word grave. So lowly bed refers to the bed under the turf, that is the grave. And I said these dead villagers are compared to persons as if they are lying, they are sleeping, they are asleep. So the first three lines describe something. What does it describe? I will explain that. Suppose these first three lines describe X, Y, Z, etc. This X, Y, Z, etc. shall not rouse them. Whatever they are, they will not rouse them from their sleep, that is from their bed. So what is the image you get? You get that they are asleep and nothing will be able to arouse them. Sure, since they are dead, and you know that death is often compared and traditionally and poetically compared with sleep. Death is called eternal sleep. So although they are asleep, they will not be able to wake up from this sleep, from this eternal sleep. Now let me explain those X, Y, Z of the first three lines. Number one, the breezy call of incense breathing morn. Morn means, poetically it is morning. Morning is personified. The morning breathes incense. That is, there is a fragrance of morning. The fragrance comes from maybe the fresh flowers or the fresh grasses and also the fresh air. So that's why the morn breathes incense. And also it calls through the air, with the air. The breezy call refers to the breeze. But these breezes are used by the morning to rouse those who are asleep. So the breezy call, the breezy invitation or call or summoning of the morning will not be able to, go to the last line, will not be able to rouse them. It usually happens to those who are asleep. But no, it will not happen for them because they are eternally asleep. Number two, the swallow twittering from the straw-billed shed. The swallow, you know it's a bird. Twittering from the straw-billed shed. Again another sound. Again another call, invitation, summoning. This twittering from the straw-billed shed of the swallow will not be able to rouse them. Okay, number two. Number three, each line describes a call for waking up. But no, they will not wake up. Nothing will be able to wake them up. 3. Go to the third line of this stanza. The cock's shrill clarion or the echoing horn. It contains two sounds. The shrill clarion, the loud clarion is actually a brass-like trumpet, a brass trumpet. It's a musical instrument. But here it refers to the sound, the shrill noise of the cock. The shrill call of the cock. And the echoing horn, the sound of the horn, which echoes through the landscape, around the village, around this churchyard. Now, where does this horn come from, the noise of horn? Actually, this horn is used by the hunters. Hunters usually went for hunting in the very morning, in the early morning, during dawn. And they used to warn these villagers with this horn, so that villagers are not harmed. So, this warning sign of the horn, the warning sound of the horn, the clarion of the cock, that is loud noise, loud call of the cock, the twittering of the swallow, and the breezy call of the morning. All these 1, 2, 3, 4, all these 4 objects are the subject of the verb, no more shall rouse. So these 4 things will not be able to rouse these sleepers. Who are the sleepers? The dead who are lying under this grave, the heaving turf. So notice how a universal phenomena is being created by grave. This phenomena belongs to every age, belongs to every culture, belongs to every village of the world. And notice how the tone of pathos has been used by Gray to supplement the tone of melancholy. Now move on to the next stanza, that is the 6th stanza. For them no more, again continuing from the last line of the 5th stanza, no more shall. For them no more the blazing heart shall burn. So it suggests a kind of discontinuity. Death is a discontinuity between life and death. Death itself disconnects us from life, the process of life, the daily process of life. What was happening daily will not happen to those who are dead. The usual things, the daily routine will not happen, will not affect these dead. Okay. For them no more the blazing heart shall burn. The blazing heart shall burn no more for them. It may burn for others, but not for them. The blazing heart means, the blazing heart, heart is meant for cooking. Blazing heart means already it is actively in use. So, the heart which symbolizes domestic life, domestic peaceful life and continuity of daily routine will not be continuous for them. It will be discontinued for them. For them means those dead villagers. Remember, those dead villagers. They are dead. So, the daily routine will not be applied to them. Or busy housewife ply her evening care. Again, you should apply the phrase no more for all these objects and descriptions. No more the busy housewife ply. No more the busy housewife ply her evening care. Ply means move in a fixed way, in a routine way. So the housewife who has been busy for her daily cares, that is worries, activities of her domestic life. So the housewife will not move for them, may move for others, but not for them because they are dead. So they will not care during the evening